So I guess we are live right now
Checking. No, we are in pre-live.
in pre-live. So maybe there's a time difference between LinkedIn and StreamYard.
It should be now live because now we are three. Okay. Yeah, we are live.
Okay, great. So we will wait a couple of seconds and start the first, as usual. The
Yeah.
intro, the intro about waiting a
Yeah.
couple of minutes will be also placed on YouTube.
Yeah. So wait. I'm checking the other channels. Okay. On Facebook it works, and on YouTube it works too.
Great. So we have a
I'm hearing myself in the other one, so it's just a delay. So for next time we will just start rolling, and it will work.
okay, good.
Okay, so I'm checking if the people. Okay, we already have 6 viewers. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Glad you could join us.
Great, great. So this topic had the majority of the people that wanted to discuss
So
about
this is the people's choice topic.
yeah, yeah. This is the first time that we do it, and so you chose it, we did it.
Yep.
So
This is also a very broad and interesting topic. We hope we can make it in 30 minutes. If not, we'll probably do another session about it because it's a lot of to cover. And when we did the slides, we saw how much information there is.
yeah,
So maybe without further ado, let's jump right into it. And here's the agenda for today about personas. What are they and why you should care about them? How to create one, just a simple overview. The difference between personas for business to business and business to client businesses, how to utilize them, or and some statistics. Is it even worth making the personas in the first place?
yeah. I think it's a little bit complicated than most people think, and I think that yes, the first thing to do is what is a persona.
Yep, there's a lot of definitions. This is one of the, I guess, the easiest I could find for presenting a persona. Then we can maybe simplify it a little more, even more. So, a persona is a fictional representation of your ideal website user based on real data about customer demographics, behavioral patterns, motivations, and goals. So, ideal website user, this can be a little bit confusing for many people because a lot of the time they don't know who the ideal website user or even the ideal customer for the product is. So,
Yeah.
creating a persona can be hard,
Mm-hmm.
but when you start, you can also create a baseline. So divide the main groups that you want to use, but we'll brush on it a little more. And here is the point why.
But I think there is something very, very, very important. It's always about the people. So the persona is just to make you and simplify the way that how you represent the targeted group that you want to work with, and try to make it more of a storytelling, not just to tell that I'm targeting people that are between 18 to 25 that they live here and there, and that's all. No, you need to tell the story about their problem, about what kind of
Yeah,
issue you are solving for them exactly. And this is, I
yeah.
think, the most important part of the persona.
And you can drive very deep inside the persona creation. So you can split for maybe is it for teenagers? Is it for adults? Then you can split the teenagers, which group of teenagers they are, and so on and so on and so on. So it's very important, or it's very useful to have this kind of segmentation, so you know how to talk to people because you can talk different. You will talk differently, or people who have families who have different values than, for example, teenagers who drive on a skateboard or do
Yeah.
tricks on bike.
Yeah, and even for example, as you said, so even if you are talking, for example, teenagers that are active are different than the teenagers that are passive. People that are more introvert, they definitely more different than people that are ambivert or extrovert. So uh, even also getting down into the traits, let's say personal traits of the people is very, very important. So it's not only about the numbers, about demographics or the how old they are, but who they are as human beings.
Yeah, how they
And
speak, how they dress, what motivates them, what keeps them up at night, and so on and so forth. So this is why how important a persona is and what they do actually. So why create a persona? So you need to understand that in the long run, persona is a person or group of persons, and this is just a representation in one
profile,
entity. Yeah, one profile.
one profile that really like the FBI or the NCIS thing that profilers, remember
Yeah,
the series? Their job is just that, it's just
yeah.
to
Figure out
profile.
behavioral
Yeah,
patterns, maybe put them in some sort of group to
yeah,
think, to know or simulate how they think and get it, the case solved from there. So this is why they help us understand and make user-centric experiences and
yeah.
in the long run improve conversion rates. So how do we actually
So
create a persona? What to include? How do we go about creating one? So here are 3 points that can help us identify or guide us through creating a persona for your particular problem or particular use
mhm.
case. First is research, which not all people can do, but if you have, you can gather data through surveys, interviews, analytics, and market research. You can always base your persona creation on somebody else's research that some bigger companies that can afford it did and go from there. So you don't have to budget a lot of resources for
Yeah,
creating that because to note you can always modify your persona in the long run. If you test the first assumption about your ideal customer and doesn't work, you can always move to another one. So there's nothing
yeah.
set in stone here. This is an important thing to remember.
Yeah, and I think for the research part is most and foremost observation. What you observed in your surroundings, in your market, because the persona is, at the end of the day, what portion of the market that you are operating in you are focusing on. So observe very well about their behavior, what is their need, what is their frustration, and focus on the need that you want to how to say it, focus on the need that you want to satisfy, and take it from there. Not try to be as precise as possible, and to target specific group of people, and then see how they behave, let's say seemingly in a common way, and that's the persona.
It's easier if you have, for example, a product that you self-made because you're part of the target group. So it's easier to create something from there because you know what the people want and how they behave and how to talk to them. But sometimes you cannot afford it. You can make a product that you think is useful for others, but you don't know the target group. So then you can
Yeah,
create, make a research and find out through different sources what to do and how to talk to them. And this is the second point where you can identify patterns. So we know different groups of people have something in common. For example, people
hmm
who,
hmm
as I aforementioned, skateboarders drive a skateboard, but they also mostly dress in a certain way, behave,
hmm
have some patterns that you can observe and make use of when creating a persona and creating your end product. This goes also for other people. If you, for example, bankers, bank tellers, or what have you. So there are some common patterns that you can use when creating your end product. And a persona helps you to look for the commonalities, identify them, and use them to create your messaging or layout or even marketing strategy.
Yes. And you will use it later on, even about the tone of the message that you will use.
Yeah,
Even if you are targeting, um, let's get back to teenagers. So you shouldn't use, for example, big expensive words. But if you are targeting researchers, you should show that you have some kind of a know-how and using very complex wording. So it depends on the target audience. It will determine how you will write, how you express yourself, what kind of tone you will use, and what kind of colors that you will use later on, even what kind of fonts.
yeah,
Maybe it will
exactly.
trigger some kind of feeling in that targeted group. So
If the
all of
layout,
that,
if the layout can be a little bit messy or not, if you can use
yeah,
slang in your messaging,
yeah.
because then it will be more understood by the target group. So those are the little things that make up a whole information about your group that can be used and basically
I will
create.
bring here, since we are talking about this, I will bring here about a lawyer firm that wanted to redo their website, and then they chose, even for the photographs that they picked, it wasn't suitable to the potential target group where they work very well, let's say. So even that will help you about the persona of your main targeted client, what kind of pictures you will be using, what kind of visuals you will be using, and all of that is inflected on
Yeah.
to get them to approach you or not.
Yes, sometimes this would help you create your unique selling proposition if you don't already have one. Because if you can narrow your target group, then it's easier to find something that you can provide them, which others don't have, or which
Yeah.
isn't utilized as much. So you are not not targeting everyone. That's like you said, for example, the lawyers, but you are targeting a specific group that you can specialize, help them. And if somebody else comes to you, you can always help them as well. So it doesn't mean you exclude people, but you're focusing more of your target group, and it's easier to market those information there in your social media, what have you. So we have already brushed on that point here. What a persona description consists of or should consist.
But let's go through them. I think so for example for the demographics. I think for the age, we shouldn't also be that much precise of like people that are 18 years old. It doesn't work that way. And also, it shouldn't be very broad, like people between 18
Yeah,
to 60. it's,
yeah.
it's
You
like,
can um, come go about it. For example, like splitting it. Then we have older people. Let's say under 30 or over 30. Over 30. Okay, but does this include 35 or to 45 or
mhm,
30 to 60? If it doesn't
yeah,
include those from 30, you can narrow it down even further. And the same as from location, income level, and stuff like that. So you start very broadly, and then you cut it in little pieces, and then you see, okay, this is the one I want to target for now, and check if this is something that we did, if it's working or not, if the target is good. The same
yeah, mhm,
behavior, you can measure that later on, even with analytics, more than
yeah, yeah,
you can make some assumptions there, of course, because you can assume that most of young people will be using their phones to
yeah,
enter the website. Maybe if you're targeting B2B, people are sitting in their offices, they're working on the computers, they will be accessing them through computers. So some assumptions can be made just based on
yeah,
as you said before, observation, not just
yes.
data. So
Yeah, and as you said, this kind of behavior that we, let's say, observed and noted, it can be confirmed later on by data. like if you integrate, Facebook Pixels on your website, and Google Analytics. Those kind of analytics will show you exactly about how people are uh, are interacting, let's say, with your website. But I think for me, on all of these 5 points, the first that you should start with checking is the pain points, to check if what kind of pain points they have, that is preventing them from attaining their goals.
Yep. But if you narrow down your group, it's easier to find those pain points, because we had the teenagers, we had the, I don't know, bankers or what have you. If you know which groups there is, or are there bankers that make more than 1 million a year or less, they have different problems. So it's easier to pin the pain points if you have a little bit narrowed, to the group already narrowed down to some extent. And then you also know the motivations, because pain points are one thing and the motivations are another. Maybe people who have 2 million a year don't want more money, but they want more status or what have you, or even more recognition. So they have different motivations that different goals that they want to achieve further in their career.
Yes, totally. So just to summarize about that, about the personas. So the goal is first, yes. So which is the next point? So the next point is about the goals.
The goals. I mean, what should we focus on when creating?
Yes. Yeah, sure.
We have the personas. What's next? So enhancing the user experience. So make the website tailored to your target group. As we know, we have narrowed down the group. We know if we are targeting young people, which are more tech savvy than probably old people, like 60 plus or 70 plus, which is another group. So if you know that, we know we can give them more advanced stuff to do, maybe engage them more, maybe give them some a little game to solve, use a chatbot or what have you, so that it's more advanced for them to comprehend than, for example, the older generation. So the same goes for increasing engagement. If you can make them a personalized experience, then they will be more inclined to stay on the website and make your goals happen.
I think this metric of success in here, it will be easier to, for example, to show an anti-persona your website. If they don't like it, they will, what is this? It means you succeeded, because they are not in your targeted group. But if they like it, you are in problem.
Yep. This is the thing. Your business isn't for everybody. There aren't a lot of businesses that are for everybody. If there is anyone you can pinpoint, but usually, if you have a target group, you can create not only your website, but all your marketing materials, all your communications around the person, the target group. It will be more understood or easier to understand for them, and it doesn't have to be understood by anyone else. So it's not the measure of success if somebody else understands it.
Yeah, totally.
And then we come to improving the conversion rate, which basically validates our assumptions based on building the persona, creating the user experience, and increasing engagement. The end goal is improved conversion rate. What conversion rate? It also depends what's your target for the website was set. So if it's leaving an email, calling, creating buying something, so it depends on the planning phase or the briefing phase of the website. Okay, so business to business versus business to consumer. There are differences for creating personas for business to business oriented businesses and business to consumer businesses. Like, for example, we talked about the teenagers. So this is a typical business to consumer persona, because not a lot of teenagers, or assuming not a lot of teenagers, have businesses that they want to create a persona for. So he had some points that we need to focus on when creating a business to business persona, because we're not creating it for the owner or for the stakeholders. Maybe we are creating them for customers of the business. So we're kind of skipping the persona from this company. We're focusing on the customer from the company, or the company wants to target to.
Okay, so on this for the B2B, I think that there is also a new way of considering. It's called more of a B4B. It means that when you're doing business for business, so it's more about also caring rather than only their let's say tangible metrics. You can focus on the social, you can focus on the environmental aspect of it, and sometimes companies do not want from other companies because they don't match their values. So you need to know very well your target, and you need to know how to talk to them. And even when you are considering businesses, you need to think about the whole decision making chain in that business, because at the end of the day you are fixing someone's pain point in that business.
Yeah, exactly. If you create a persona, if you're targeting another business, you don't create a persona that's, I don't know, maybe it is the stakeholder, but it also can be the purchasing manager, which makes the decision for your product. So you have to think about this more than you think about the end customer there.
Yeah, and I think also for when you're targeting businesses, you should think about the first thing to do is who will use your product there. Start from the end user, and then build on top of that. For example, the decision maker, most of the time, at 80% of the time, he's not the one who will be using your product in the
Yeah,
company.
exactly.
And but he will make the decision if the end user is happy.
Yeah, if you let's call it the gatekeeper, if you make a good connection, if you target the gatekeeper correctly, then he will forward the information to the decision maker, and the goal is achieved. So you need to
And he
think
can
about this
be,
more.
and he can become in that way an influencer to the decision, or even a champion. It means when we say a user is become a champion, it means that he will talk about your product and services, and he will push. So you will activate word of mouth just by focusing on the end user, their pain point, and what you are delivering to them.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, these are different goals that need to achieve. Sometimes the focus around business challenges, increasing efficiency, and return on
Yeah.
investment achievement. The stakeholders, they just check if everything was met. So need to think about who the person in the company is that you're targeting. Not think about, I'm targeting this company, because end of the day, there are still people that are working in the company, that make the decisions and go further with what you have.
Exactly. And the metrics are always there needed for the decision makers.
Yeah,
B2C, you can talk about how beautiful your product is. It's totally different, but for businesses, you need to talk metrics.
I would say in some ways a little bit easier, because you know that the end user, that you don't know when business to business, you don't know sometimes what the company consists of, what's the decision maker, who does what, and who to target. So kind of can be shooting blanks and see what sticks. So for consumers, you mostly know which is the end user. You can see what they like. You can even the analysis can be simplified because you can use social media posts or what have you, analyze their behavior patterns via social media, and make your decisions based on those patterns.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for B2C, it's about the meaning of the message more than metrics. But I think if you take, I think the best example of messaging and toning is when the iPod was launched, and Steve Jobs used that instead of saying that it has 150 gigabytes of memory or 256 gigabytes of memory, he said that you can put 1,000 songs in one pocket. So he talked directly to the consumer about what kind of value he's bringing to them. So 1,000 songs, it's a lot to put
It's a
in
clear
the
message
pocket.
also, because it's something you can quantify in your head. 150 gigabytes. If you're not a tech
Yeah,
person, you don't know
you
how many
wouldn't know.
songs this is, because okay, I have MP3s and or waves or what have you, and you
Yeah.
don't
So
know how
what?
much will fit. Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, the messaging is easier than if you know who's your target audience and what they actually care about, and you can go out of your bubble and speak more clearly. Yes,
Okay.
that's what it says here. More personal
Mhm.
needs, desires, and aspirations. So you know that when you buy a product, you sometimes don't buy a product because it's a product that has some features, but it makes you
Mhm.
feel like you belong somewhere, or it makes you feel, for example, if you buy sports equipment, it can make you feel like more of a professional athlete than the next guy that doesn't use this sort of branded equipment.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so how do we really utilize all the information in your website? Because digital transformation is kind of twofold. It's your tools, digital tools that you use, and one part of this is website. And on website, you need to communicate. So you need to create some content strategy to make the communication clear, concise, and straight to the target audience. So you know what language you could use, what tone of voice, etc., etc., and stay consistent in creating this content that also addresses the pain points, the needs, and the motivation as we spoke before. Also, we brushed on the user interface design. When we create a user interface for, go back to the skateboarders, you can use more dynamic,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it really shows the difference between
Yeah.
one group and another. You can
Yeah.
use more grungy fonts, you can use more movement, be more chaotic in your design than for other groups. Of course, all the intuitiveness has to be there, but you can go a little bit more crazy, perhaps, show more
Yeah.
their lifestyle encompassed as in the interface.
Yeah, for example, if I would, for example, build a user interface for a website for skateboarders, I would use flashy colors. I would, for example, make some 3D pictures that show, for example, skateboards going out of the screen to make them more attractive and going for it.
Yeah,
That, for example, when you scroll down, there is some kind of animation of the scribble that flips or whatever. So it's things that you could implement and make it good. And if you bring the same website for someone who doesn't care anything less for skateboards, that is more, for example, complete opposite. I don't know, a bookworm, and you give him this website, he won't like it.
yeah. Also, if you're buying a car, maybe a luxury brand, it's a different
Mhm.
look and feel. If you know your customer, then if somebody buys a family minivan or something like that. So
Yeah, yeah. For the family event, you would say much, let's say, grayish colors, some kind of stuff, and
yeah,
for
and
the
also
same
you
car,
focus more on, let's say, space,
space. Yeah.
safety for the
Hmm.
family. So put other values in front of person that's watching that, for example, a sports car will care more about how it looks, how the feel is, and what miles does it get, maximum miles not per gallon, because this is less important there.
So for the family car, for example, you would focus on the interior and how big is it, and so maybe you can put some pictures there where you
maybe
can
some soundproof glass between you and the kids.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, definitely. That would be a good feature. Like they can scream.
I would use it.
Yeah.
So a product idea maybe. Okay, so
yeah,
and then we know how to optimize the conversion based on their assumptions. So we also talked about it before a little bit, and this is just to summarize it there. Okay, so some statistics that I found. Is it really worth it to create all the personas? Because it seems like a lot of work that has to be done to prepare the focus on to create the target group, focus there, find out what they want, what they don't want, etc., etc. So some quick statistic for wrapping up. Engagement. So Aberdeen Group made a study that they saw a 73% increase in conversions when the website was created for a specific group. So used a persona versus didn't use a persona. So 73% is pretty good measure. And also the website engagement went up 56% based on the same metric, persona versus not.
Yeah, I can imagine. So 75, almost 75% is worth your while.
I guess so.
Take your time. Take your time to.
It doesn't have to take you months or years to create a persona. It can be. You can speed up the process, make some assumptions, implement the test, and it
Exactly. Progress, not perfection. So you just do it, ship it, and test, reiterate, and improve.
And some different that comes from Salesforce. This is not exactly about personas per se, but
the targeting.
The targeting. People, 84% of asked people, or questioned people,
which is as a
said,
person, not a number.
Yes. Oh. So if you create a persona, you're basically creating some person to talk to, not a number, not a statistic. Because you try to fill in the shoes of the persona, which in the end should represent a physical person or a group of persons. So
it's about humanizing the aspect approach of it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So.
Okay, we made it. I have a crazy idea. How do you think that we can make an online group workshop for some people? We would choose we send everyone a message and choose 5 people to make 1 hour workshop about determining personas with them if they are interested to make a website.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. So here you have it, guys.
Let's ask the people.
Yeah, so we will launch the poll for this. So the next one will be a private workshop, or to make it put it as a live webinar, but it will be a live workshop for the people to show them how to make a persona or see different cases and see how it goes.
Yep, I think it's a good idea. Okay, so
great.
Only 5 minutes past the time.
Yeah,
minus the intro, I guess it's we can say we did it.
We did it in half an hour. We promised 30 minutes. So all of our next webinars will be only 30 minutes. Don't be afraid. Intro. Just join us.
We were starting at point right from the start.
Yeah, put you to the hot top directly.
And thank you, guys. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next one.
See you next one. Ciao.